Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. This is part 1 of What If Naruto was the elder brother of Sirzechs Gremory and was betrayed by him. Hope you enjoy, and if you do, make sure to like and subscribe for more.
Underworld. Screams could be heard through the mansion in the underworld. The person of said screams was no other than Divinelords, formerly Bale Gremory, a woman that had beautiful brown hair. He is the current lady of the House of Gremory. Ow 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 ow, cried a young-looking man. He looked no older than Divinelords Gremory. He wore a white jacket with yellow trim underneath. He wore a black collared shirt. He was Sirzechs Gremory, husband and current head of the House of Gremory. The reason for his screams of pain, his wife was crushing his hand. The reason why she was crushing his hand, he was currently giving birth to Winzo. You can say she was in a bit of pain. Honey, you're breaking my hand. Sirzechs cried out, only for the pressure to increase. His wife glared daggers at him. I'm sorry, dear, he said so sweetly that you could get a sugar high. I would gladly trade places with you if you want. Sirzechs paled and shook his head furiously. I can see ahead, exclaimed the doctor in the room. I need you to push now, Gremory Sama. The next 10 minutes we followed with grunts, screams, and crying. The crying from one Lord Gremory from his injured hand. Congratulations, Lord and lad. Why, Gremory, it's a boy, the doctor said, handing them the crying baby. The baby was taken by Divinelords into our arms. He has your hair, Sirzechs, he spoke lovingly while cradling her child. Yes, he does, boo. He certainly whines like you do, Sirzechs said, trying to make a quick joke. He froze when he saw the dark, murderous aura that she was giving. What did you say? I said I'm going to get your other chill. Sirzechs responded while quivering. Good, that's what I thought you said, he said, smiling. All traces of murder gone. Sirzechs stood up from the chair next to his wife's bed and went to an RB crib and picked up a baby and brought him back to where his wife was. This baby had crimson red hair that had the same style that Divinelords has. He was the definition of cute among babies. What stuck out most though were his eyes. Instead of the teal color or violet that his parents had, he had the colors of his grandfather's. He had electric blue eyes that showed warmth and love. Naruto, say hello to your younger brother. You are now in charge of him only if you are an hour older than him. Divinelords told her child, have you decided on a name for him yet? I have already named our firstborn, Sirzechs asked his wife. He absolutely loved Japanese culture. When he went to the human world, he also loved their language. That is where he got the name Naruto, maelstrom, not the fish cake it is used in ramen. Took his wife convincing to name him that I have Sirzechs Gremory, Divinelords said. Sirzechs smiled at the name. That a lovely name, just as lovely as you, Sirzechs said. Divinelords smiled at her husband before taking Naruto in her arms along with Sirzechs. Naruto, you must protect Sirzechs now. Remember, family is the most important thing. We always take care of each other and never betray one another, he said. None of the occupants in the room would never know how important those words were and how they were ignored. 9 years later, ha, laughed a red-haired child. You can't get me, Ni-chan, he yelled out. Behind him was another redhead chasing after him. This redhead was currently keeping his distance, though he was much faster than his younger brother. Ever since he could remember, he was always faster than anyone his age, hence why he was keeping his distance. It would be no fun if he would catch his brother instantly. Come on, Naruto, you're too slow, cried the younger child. The now revealed Naruto smiled. He loved his brother. They were almost inseparable. Naruto would say he was as close to Sirzechs as he was to Ruvel Phoenix. Ruvel was the current heir to the House of Phoenix. They had met when their parents needed to talk about grown-up things, just like the other houses. Those included the House of Astaroth, House of Vitri, and the House of Glacia. Label as their respective heirs were Ajika Astaroth, Irafaltari, and Falbium Glacia. Labelas. He had met all of them multiple times before, but he would not say he was as close to them as he was with Ruvel. Well, except for Irafal. In the eye of her parents and others she was very serious. He acted as if he had no emotion, had never heard of the word fun. But when she invited Naruto to her room, she went ballistic, from yelling about how boring and meaningless all these meetings were to how he just wanted to play and not be a stiff all her life. Don't get her wrong, she liked having manners and being smart. He just hated not having fun while business was a paying. That was the day he became friends with Irafal. He also befriended the other heirs also. Ajika was a very respectful child and talented child, while he wasn't as serious as Irafal was. And she was in business mode. He did show respect to others. He also had a weird addiction/fetish for making new inventions. You see, H is a device that helped the maids clean. He believed he called it a vacuum. Falbium was a very outgoing boy. He always wanted to do something. He could never sit still no matter what you did. The why were a ragtag bunch of kids that formed good friendships with each other. Now that is to say the Naruto and Sirzechs were without their quirks. Sirzechs was extremely childish, them being 6. Years old had nothing to do with his behavior. He acted 10 times more childish than Arafal did. Had was a lot. He seemed to not know when things were serious or when to be serious. Now Naruto was an enigma. He had one of the weirdest quirks of them all. Ramen Ome say he just liked the dish, while his mother says he was cursed because of his name that his father gave him. He didn't care. All that mattered to him is if he got to eat ramen once a day. Other than his ramen addiction, he was also a blend of all the others' personalities. He was very serious when he needed to be childish when with his friends. When it came to training, he showed more enthusiasm than Falbium. He was a believer in hard work. For most devils, they believed that you had to be born with greatness. He was not. He was not as fortunate as his brother Sirzechs. While Sirzechs was able to use his mother's ability, the power of destruction, Naruto was born with vast magic reserves that no one noticed. His body naturally hid his massive reserves, only allowing a little more than average to be noticed. Not that he knew he had massive reserves either. Sirzechs, watch out, Naruto shouted out. Sirzechs was currently looking back laughing at Naruto, so he was unaware of the china cabinet that was ahead of him. By the time he turned around, Sirzechs slammed into it, knocking down the plates, mugs, and other dishes down, shattering on the ground. Sirzechs adopted a horrified expression. His mother would kill him. He was a scary woman when she put her foot down. Before him or Naruto could do anything, they heard a sickly, sweet voice. What happened here, kids? The crimson-haired brothers turned around to face their horrifying mother. Her aura scream, run, but they couldn't as it froze their bodies where they stood. Sirzechs gulped and tried to form an explanation in his head to tell his mother and await his death. He opened his mouth to speak. I did it, and was interrupted by Naruto. He stared wide-eyed at his brother. Did he want to die? I was chasing after a Toto and wasn't looking where I was going. I ran into the cabinet and broke everything. Naruto stared into his mother's eyes, meeting her ferocious stare. Sirzechs was just left gaping like a fish. He ran into the cabinet. He broke his mother's dishes. Why is Naruto taking the blame? Is that so? Naruto nodded. Vanillan, rubbed the bridge of her nose and sighed. Clean up this mess and then go to your room. No maids are to help you. Understood? He nodded. Good. Also no ramen for a month. The moment those words left her mouth, Naruto felt his heart break. How would he survive? Sirzechs, let's go. You have training to finish, Vanillana said as she started to walk away. Sirzechs stayed behind. Why did you take the blame? Why, you're an idiot. It's my job to protect my little brother, is it not? If you took the blame, San would punish you. Before Sirzechs could respond, they heard Vanillana shouting to Sirzechs. Sirzechs left, leaving Naruto behind to go train, not knowing this would be an everyday occurrence for years to come. Time kips, that was the life of one Naruto Gremory. At first it was nothing major. He understood that Sirzechs had the power of destruction, so he needed to be trained in it. He was trained later, a year later, in basic magic such as wind, fire, earth, and lightning magic. He found he was very adept in lightning magic to where he could send lightning to different parts of his body to increase his speed and shock opponents when he touched them. That was all he was trained in by his parents. The moment he mastered the basics, they left him to his own devices and continued to work with Sirzechs while Vanillana left nothing to Naruto to help. His father let him have his old magic books from when he was a kid before abandoning him for Sirzechs. By the time he turned 10, he perfected all basic magic. He could wash and clean himself with just his magic and not making a mess. He was able to repair the training ground outside when he used more destructive magics. He old power the whole city with just his lightning magic. The maids were really impressed with his growth. They already took a liking to him as he treated them as family while all the Gremories did this. He went a step further and would do his own laundry or clean his room, saying he didn't want them to have to work so much. Ome became smitten with him. Then came his grandparents. They visited Day often, saying it was for checking on how the clan head was running things, but they actually just wanted to spend time with their grandkids. They also came to see how they were improving. They re-impressed with Sirzechs' use of the power of destruction, but also a little disappointed because he had low aptitude for any elemental magic. Plus, the power of destruction was not a Gremory trait, so they did not like him being so advanced in a all trait. They were astonished in Naruto's skill in elemental magic. The way he used each spell with flawlessness and not even breaking a sweat was amazing, especially when he showed him his speed. While channeling lightning magic in his limbs, it showed the Gremory's adaptiveness and powerful magic that they are known for. Sirzechs and Vanillana paid no mind as they thought it was normal or someone to be able to use basic magic that easily, thing that his grandparents did not miss. This continued for decade. During that time, Sirzechs then started to abuse the fact that Naruto would always take the blame for him whenever he would break something or destroy something with his power of destruction. He would immediately blame Naruto. To say Naruto was furious was an understatement. He was fine a king the blame when they were children. but taking the blame while they are teenagers. Obviously Sirzechs was still a spoiled kid, but he let it go. He was family after all. This remained until the Great War happened, the war between angels, fallen angels, and devils. Naruto didn't know how or why the war started, but he knew the devils were involved in it now. It was a terrible war, casualties, bloodshed, and tears. The war had lasted over a century. The devils and fallen took the most losses as they had no means of repopulating their race besides the standard ways. But for the devils, it was worse, considering devils can go centuries before having a child. The devils were barely ending their ground in the war. That all changed when Naruto was able to improve the most basic expel teleportation. With his massive reserves that he became aware of when he was 12, he was able to spread a circle big enough to teleport hundreds of devils. A power like that made the war shift. While they had army confront the enemy, within seconds they would outnumber the enemy forces by 3, 2, 1. That forced the fallen to retreat and only fight if anyone forced their way on their territory and cause heaven to convert more humans to angels. And then it all stopped. The fights ended with the death of the 4 Titans. That would have been a great opportunity to finish the devils, but they didn't. Naruto thought that was suspicious. The angels had all the humans in the world to convert, so why call for a truce, unless they lost God in that battle between the Titans? It didn't matter as the leaders accepted the ceasefire, but that lasted only a few decades. The most prestigious houses took over leadership, one of them being the Baals, but the former Titans' descendants wanted to finish off the fallen. The fallen had lost many during the war, but so did the devils. The evils were in the millions before the war. Now they were only above a million, maybe 2 in numbers. This caused a civil war to break out. The old faction against the rebels. The leaders of the rebounds were none other than the future clan's children: Naruto, Sirzechs, Irafal, Ajika, and Falbium. They led the revolt against the old faction. Many more devils were lost, slowly mocking them become endangered. Then Naruto did it again. While he couldn't transport hundreds anymore to devils being spies for the old faction, he perfected the transportation circle. He trained days and nights to get it down. It took blood, sweat, and more blood to perfect it. Instant teleportation. Now while all devils could do and use this magic, Naruto made it his own. He was able to use it without the use of the Gremory seal, making it an invisible teleportation. But that's not all. He required no time to use it at all. All he had to do is think about where he wanted to be, like a standard teleportation, but instead of waiting for the circle to charge, he instantly teleported. Think Hiraition. The drawback was physical exhaustion. He could use it a minimum of 5 times before sweating and 10 before falling to his knees. 11, and he went unconscious. That is what made the civil war end. The 5 of them charged the deceased Lucifer's home and did battle with the 4 Titans' children, but they were expecting this because at the entrance stood one woman who had destroyed countless rebel forces, the one that stood before them today, Grafia Lucifuge, a stunning beauty from the Lucifuge clan, the lot of her clan. Your resistance against Lucifer, Sama, ends here, he stated with a cold, emotionless voice. Naruto stepped forward. Listen, Gray-chan. He dodged an ice spear. We just want to end this horrible leadership. Your current masters want to go to war with the fallen. We lost too many devils in the war and we would lose more against he fallen. His friends nodded. What about your own fighting against us? He inquired. Have we not lost many of our own in this civil war? We have. But that is what we and the rest of the devils want. If we were to attack the fallen, heaven may get involved, thus causing another great war. This is to keep our race alive. Grafia didn't respond. Instead she stuck her hand towards them and had ice spikes shoot out the ground. Rebel leaders jumped out the way. You guys go on ahead, I'll deal with her, Naruto shouted. They were reluctant but went ahead, knowing how stubborn Naruto could be. As he watched them go, Grafia trapped his legs in ice. I am sorry, but I have to end you now and take care of your Freya. NDS, Grafia said as she formed an ice spear in her hand and went to throw it. He stopped as she heard him speak. Why? He asked. Why would you listen to him? Rise of him just wants to start a pointless war. For what? To have our race driven further to extinction. Grafia lowered her spear. You are the last of your clan. House of Lucifuge is gone. Besides you, why? Because of the war that and many other pillars were taken out as well. We are currently down to 37 houses left. Ty fight us and lose more. He dropped to her knees. I know it must be hard losing loved ones. I lost friends and family in the war. Even the maids in our home were killed because of this civil war. He channeled fire magic to his legs and broke the ice. He walked over to her and got down, and to look in her now tear-filled eyes. Join us. I can give you a home and treat you as family. If you don't want to be a part of my family, then we will let you live on your own. There is no reason for you to die. Your family's name will end with you if you keep fighting for the wrong side. He stared into his calm, alluring blue eyes. He saw no deceit or greed. He saw concern and regret for what he might have to do. I hate killing, but if we have to keep the peace we have, all those who try to disrupt it will have to die. There won't be a true peace until every faction understands each other, but until then, I will try to keep peace as much as I can," Naruto stated. Grafia was entranced with his words and determination. "Will you join us, Grafia-chan?" Naruto stood up and held out his hand. Grafia looked at him for a moment before nodding her head and grabbing it. "Good, now let's go help my Udo." He tends to get reckless as he said that. An explosion happened, destroying half of the mansion. As they reached the mansion, Naruto's brother and friends were having a hard time against 3 of the 4 Eitan's children. Izadam was just standing back watching the fight ensue in front of his eyes. "Grafia, go help them out, I'll deal with Rizvim." Naruto didn't wait for a response as he shot off toward Rizvim, who didn't see him coming till he was punched through the wall. Rizvim stood up holding his now bruised jaw. When he looked to see who hit him, he scowled deeply. "Oh, I finally get to meet the heir to the Gremory house and hero of the Great War." Naruto just frowned. "I don't care what you call me, I will end this attempt at causing a pointless war," Naruto told him. "Do you not see what I am trying to do? We can become the most powerful race and no one will be able to stop us." "You disgust me," Naruto sneered. "You would kill millions just for your crazy war obsession." "It matters not. I figured this would happen. Oh, I will be taking my leave." With the snap of his finger, smoke exploded around him and he teleported away. Damn. Naruto clenched his fists. He turned to his comrades and saw they were struggling. Within seconds, he was with them. That was the moment the civil war ended. Naruto killed 2 of the 3 remaining Eitan descendants on his own. You would think that after all his accomplishments and respect at others showed him, Naruto's life would be great. You would be wrong. His parents were congratulating Sirzechs on being a huge help with the war, and that his strength with the power of destruction saved them all. That didn't matter to Naruto as long as his people were safe. Then things became worse. The Say that took over when the original Eitans died. They decided to have 4 powerful devils to take their names in place. The obvious choices were the ones who had the biggest effect in the war. The problem was that there was 6 total candidates. 2 of the 4 spots were more than likely going to be fulfilled by Ajika and Falbium as Beels, Bubba and Asmodeus. The problem was who would take the title of Leviathan, and Lucifer, Irafel and Grafia were the candidates for Leviathan, while Naruto and Sirzechs for Lucifer. Naruto didn't care for a title, though a title didn't give you strength or power. It showed when humans were able to kill even the strongest of devils without the use of holy weapons. All that mattered was his beloved Grafia. After the civil war had ended, many things happened. Ajika made the evil peace system that would convert any being to be part devil. Set that Naruto had received. Deba didn't plan on using it anytime soon. Falbium increased the military training, making them a force to be reckoned with, and Grafia swore her allegiance to Naruto. Naruto turned her down and said if she really wanted to, they could go on a date, as he did not like the idea of having servants. To say they hit it off was an understatement. Many devils were jealous of their relationship because they seemed to be a perfect couple. Girls looked at Grafia in envy, none more than Irafel, while men just glared at Naruto for having such a beauty by his side. All the devils knew of their relationship, but none ever hated them for their relationship, as they deserved happiness for their efforts in the war. Then the rumor started Sirzechs Gremory would become Lucifer. The ones who started the rumor were none other than his parents, backed up by the Bale. They wanted the title of strongest Mao to be a Bale. Naruto did not care until it changed his Ife forever. He was headed towards his home that he built on his own. For him and Grafia, he had a black box in his hand. It was something very special that Lady Phoenix had helped him pick out for Grafia. He loved her and she loved him. Or that was what he thought when he opened the door and saw what was going on in the living room. His blood boiled. There on the couch was Grafia and Sirzechs going at it like rabbits. He dropped the box with a thud. Grafia heard this and looked at him. Her face turned from one of pleasure to one of horror. He did not mean for this to happen. He didn't mean for any of it to happen. He loved Naruto. He was her first love, but that love slowly dwindled as she started to find Sirzechs attractive. He didn't want him to find out this way. Sirzechs was sweating bullets. While he may act like he was better than Naruto in public, he knew Naruto outclassed him many times over. Thus a battle of brothers took place. Naruto blasted Sirzechs through his home to the front yard. Sirzechs got up quickly and fired of his power of destruction that also alerted the others devils in the underworld intentionally. Naruto evaded it with ease, as he knew how the power of destruction needed a few seconds to charge. Naruto flashed in front of Sirzechs, punching him in the cheek with a lightning-infused fist. Electricity coursed through his body as he skidded across the ground. Naruto then jumped in the air before falling and striking him in his gut with his heel. Sirzechs sat up from the force, vomiting blood. Naruto stood a few feet in front of him, charging his entire arm with lightning magic. It was so strong that it was changing color, from yellow to blue to faint traces of black. By this time every high-standing devil and officials Came to the scene. They saw a semi-destroyed house and a beaten and bloodied Sirzechs sitting feet away from an enraged Naruto. Many gasped at how angry he looked. Naruto was a kind-hearted soul. Even during the war he didn't show this amount of hatred and betrayal. This left many devils confused, none more than the Phoenixes, Gremorys, Itris, and Naruto's friends. Naruto ran towards Sirzechs with his arm pulled back, intending to punch him through the heart. It would have happened if a pillar of ice appeared in front of Sirzechs. It was demolished to bits and pieces as Naruto struck it. He looked next to Sirzechs to see Grafia standing there. "Why?" Naruto screamed with tears falling down his face. "Why?" Grafia showed very little guilt in facial features. "Because I love him." All the devils that gathered were dumbfounded. Who did she love? How long? Grafia looked confused. How long? Wah? How long have you been cheating on me with him? Naruto yelled. The devils were shocked. They stood there with their mouths gaping while others looked on with disgust in their eyes. "A month," Grafia said. Irefal was furious. He wanted to kill Grafia. He stole her childhood crush from her and then throws it away for some arrogant man. She killed before she could act. Naruto spoke. "I'm done." His red hair covering his eyes. "I'm leaving the underworld. You are no longer my brother. We may be by blood, but that is it. The only connection I will have with you and our parents is by blood. I've dealt with your bullshit and our parents' favoritism towards you for too long now, but I'm done. I've protected you, helped you, even took the blame for you, but I cannot forgive you for this. We are no longer brothers." Sirzechs actually looked sad as the brother he admired when they were kids disowned him. Naruto looked at Grafia. "And you?" Naruto said. "I gave you my heart and soul and you tossed it away. You're no thing but scum." Grafia got wide-eyed. His eyes turned ice cold, colder than hers and Irefal's ice magic. What he said next were his final words that anyone would hear for a century. "I should have killed you when I faced you at Lucifer's castle." He then disappeared in a red flash. The devils were astounded. Never had Naruto wished death on anyone before, not even angels, fallen angels, or even God. During the Great War he believed everyone deserved to live. Many were sad and upset at what happened. Irefal was in tears along with Lady Phoenix as they were the closest to him. Lord Phoenix and Ruval, along with the Itri, Astaroth, and Glassissa, Lavelas had sad frowns. The Gremorys and Bales showed no emotion. Their decision foe, Lucifer, just became much more easier with Naruto. When he appeared out of his teleportation, he was met to a sight of nothing, a vast sea of rainbow-colored distortions. He turned around as he sensed a presence behind him. "For you to be allowed to feel my power must mean you are close to my level." Naruto took in her features. He was a little girl with black hair and what appeared to be gothic Lolita dress. "Oh, it was you who messed with my teleportation magic, Office." He showed no emotion to him knowing her name. "I want you to help me," he stated. If I say no, you die," he responding, showing no traces of emotion. "What is in it for me?" "Power. I have power. I think I'll pass," he responded. He looked upset by his answer. He started to channel power, but he stopped her attack that she was going to send his way. "How about a little wager?" He quirked an eyebrow. "We have a spar. Par means no killing blows. If I win, he send me to other dimensions so I can get as far away from this damned world as possible. And if I win," he asked, "you pick." He shrugged. He nodded. "You have to help me." He nodded and become my mate. Naruto face planted in the ground air, whatever they were standing on in the void. Naruto looked unsure about it, but that would be better than his relationship that just ended minutes ago. Before he could say anything else, he had to dodge a blast that would have taken his arm off. "I said no killing blows," he yelled. "That's why I aimed for your arm." His sweat dropped. Thus began the battle that was felt across the different realms. The sun shined brightly, signifying the start of the day as it the light crept through the window, falling on a sleeping man's face. The man groaned as he stirred in bed. He opened his eyes, revealing blue, eccentric eyes. He had crimson red hair that matched one Lady Gremory. He looked no older than 21 years old. This was Naruto Gremory, true heir to the house of Gremory. "Damn son, ruining my wonderful sleep," Naruto said as he tried to turn, only to stop as he felt weight on his left arm and shoulder. He turned and what he saw made him smile warmly. Laying on his arm, with her head on his shoulder, was a blonde-haired woman. He had twin fox ears on her head that twitched every so often. He had a gorgeous face with a cute little nose and soft, pink lips, a set of nice slender shoulders. He had a blanket covering her bare chest, but you can make out her voluptuous body as it hugged her body. He had breasts that showed no sag. Just as young as Naruto. This woman was Yasaka Gremory, the wife of Naruto Gremory, former ruler of Kyoto. Naruto leaned over, kissing her nose as the blanket fell off him, revealing his lean, toned muscles. Eyelids opened, revealing golden eyes that stared into his blue ones. "Morning, my lovely Kitsune," he said as he put his forehead against hers, wrapping his arms around her. "Good morning, Naruto-kun," he said, Snuggling into his embrace they stayed like this for a few minutes. "You know," Yasaka started, "we have to get up sooner or later." He just pulled her closer. "I just want to stay with you a while longer." He tightened his hold on her. He then brought out her foxtails and pinned down, straddling him. "Now that wouldn't be right for my king to waste his time in bed all day," he said, it revealing all her glory to him. "I'm going to take a shower. You can join me if you like." Naruto wasted no time following her to the bathroom to share quality time with his wife and queen. After the shower was done, they were in the room changing into their proper clothes. Naruto wore a blue, long-sleeve jacket over a black t-shirt. He wore black pants that covered the top of his black white trim shoes. He looked over and saw Yasaka in her usual Miko outfit with the top being day and bottom red. The only difference was, her bust and rear were too large to fit properly, making her look erotic. Naruto. He shook his head as he saw her standing right in front of him, an angry look on her face. "Were you listening to me? Ori?" He chuckled nervously. "It's just, your body kept me distracted. I don't know if you're sexier with or without clothes." He adorned, a blush on cheeks. "After all we did last night, you still think like that?" He pressed her chest against his. "What am I going to do with you?" He put her face in the crook in his neck, taking in his scent. It was so intoxicating. Before any hint could happen, the door was opened by a young girl. This girl had blonde hair just like Yasaka but blue eyes like Naruto. He wore a miniature version of Yasaka's outfit. This was 8-year-old Kuno Gremory, Aruta's and Yasaka's daughter. "Daddy, Mommy," he yelled as she ran towards them. As they separated, Kuno jumped into Naruto's arms, wrapping her arms around his neck, hugging him. He unconsciously took in his scent like her mother. Naruto chuckled. "Good morning, Kuno-chan. What is you so hyper this morning?" He leaned back, as he still held her in the air. "You promised to train with me and Nei-chan today," he said. "I guess I did, didn't I?" He just smiled. "Fine, we will, but let's go eat breakfast first." "Let's go with that." He put her on his daughter on his shoulders and grabbed his wife by her waist, taking them downstairs. He lived in a pretty big house on the edge of Kuo. It was in the forest that surrounded the area. The house was fairly large but not a mansion. It had rooms for all his peerage members, including a few extra just in case some of his acquaintances needed a place to stay. Upon entering the dining room, he saw most of his peerage sitting at the table. His sweat dropped. "Are you waiting for me to make breakfast again?" he asked. All he received was nods around the table. Eating at the far end of the table was one of Naruto's knights. He was a blonde-haired girl with golden eyes. He wore a white dress that went to her mid-thighs. It had a blue outline. The dress exposed her back all the way to her rear, with the part covering it being black. Her hair flowing just past her rear. He had perky Easts. He finished off her attire with blue, thigh-high boots. He looked no older than 18. This was Ace Wallenstein. Eating to her left, was another blonde-haired woman. Her hair was bountiful and flowed down past her rear. Beautiful purple eyes looked at her handheld game. A orange scarf was around her neck. He wore a brown yaka with the sleeves stopping at the start of her biceps, the jacket exposing her midriff underneath. She wore a yellow shirt, only the top being seen covering part of her low cup breasts. He had black, fingerless gloves. He also had big yellow bracelet like things on both her wrists. He had black, shorts that barely covered her rear end but was still covered by her belt skirt that had the front missing and white cloth hanging in the back. He wore brown combat boots that went just below her knees. Her right sock was orange and just above the boot. Her left sock was the same in color, but pulled up below her thigh. He had a purple cloth tied below her left knee. This was Naruto's Yang Xiaolong. Across from her on the other side of the table was the next member of Naruto's peerage. He had light blonde hair, almost white-looking. He had light blue eyes. He wore a light purple, formal schoolish-looking uniform with white at the collar and partly down to her large cup brea, stsa blue bow tied at the base of it, a purple skirt matching her top. He wore thigh-high white socks. He looked around 18 years old. This was Elizabeth Mobley, his second knight. Next to Yang sat one of his bishops. He had black hair with a pair of cat ears on her head. Her hair split in the middle while she wore a headband. He wore a revealing black kimono, showing her massive cup breasts, tied with a yellow obi with golden beads. This was Kuroka, one of the last two Nekasha the universe had. To Elizabeth's left sat his other rook. This woman had pink hair that parted in the front. He had a red bow on top of her head. He wore a black, Victorian-styled dress that made her look elegant, that accentuated her cup breasts. This was Asha Blood River. Her green emerald eyes stared at the girl to her right. This girl had silky Sylvie. Her hair, one strand sticking out, was red like his. Her eyes scarlet. He had a black blouse held up by two white straps on her shoulder. He also had a fang partly sticking out the side of her mouth, making her look 10 times cuter. He was the same age as Kuno. This was Mocha Gremory, Naruto's second, and youngest daughter. He looked around and saw the rest of the seats were empty as he made Way to Akasha after leading his wife to her seat and sitting Kunu down next to Mocha. The two started talking about what they were going to learn from their father in training today. Naruto Lian D down to Akasha and kissed her on the lips. It was a sweet and loving kiss. Are the others still out on their assignments? He asked, wrapping his arms around her shoulders. Yes, they said they will be back tonight, possibly tomorrow morning, Akasha said, leaning into Naruto's embrace. He then unwrapped his arms from her. Oh, who wants pancakes? Everyone in the room drooled at the thought of him making his godly pancake. He laughed at their expressions. Yang, A's, would either of you like to give me a hand? Naruto asked. I would, but you and Yasaka-chan kept me up with all the yanging you guys were doing. Yang said, wiggling her eyebrows. He was answered with everyone face-palming, even Kunu and Mocha. Naruto just let out an amused chuckle. He loved Yang for this. No matter how many times this happened, she never stopped. He would always be herself. Well, A's, care to join me in the kitchen? He nodded and got up from her chair as she followed him to the kitchen. He appreciated times like these where he didn't have to worry about anything other than his peerage, or as really called them, his real family. Everybody trusted one another. No one held any secrets about themselves. There wasn't a single thing that no one knew about each other. The trust was completely on another level. That also meant they knew of his past. He told them everything before they joined his peerage, his entire life story and how he got to where he was today, which they all cried and apologized. Even Huff they couldn't do anything. After that, they happily joined him, considering he did save them. Kind of, he really needed to thank Office for that, even if she would show no emotion. He shook his head of these thoughts as he noticed his pancakes were finished, with A's finishing up with the bok on and eggs. After they had their breakfast, they all split up to do their own thing. A's to work on her swordsmanship, Akasha to increase her abilities, Yang to go destroy some dummies with Ember, Celica, Elizabeth to train in her speed, Yas, aka probably went to go talk on the phone with the new leader of Kyoto, and Kuroka went to go spy and her little sister, Naruto, and his adorable little daughters went to the backyard, which was basic ally the forest in Kuo. He had put a barrier around it that only Mao would be able to detect, and that was only if they were inches away from it. He turned and faced his daughters. Now, to begin your torture, he said with a glint in his eye. They both have confused faces. Don't you mean training Atu-sama? Mocha asked. His smile grew bigger. Nope, today I will be having you do physical training, he said as he watched their faces turn to frowns. Hey, don't get all sad on me. Do you think I got as strong as I was without physically training? They shook their heads. Good, no, I want you to run 10 laps around the perimeter of the barrier. They look horrified. Their barrier covered 20 miles of the forest. After we can take a break, and then we can do some push-ups and sit-ups. They deflated. Don't be like that. Maybe when we're one way I could take you out for some ice cream. They instantly cheered back up and started to run. Before he stopped them, Mocha, he stated, do you want to pass out? He looked confused for a second before he realized what he meant. He had pink dust her cheeks. Naruto smiled at her as he got down on one knee and tilted his head, exposing his neck. Mocha walked up to him and looked at his neck. He saw 2 puncture marks on his neck. This was where her mother marked him as her mate. He shook her head and quickly bit into his neck, sucking his blood. He sighed at the blissful taste that overloaded her senses. He continued to drink his blood for a few more moments before letting go and licking the blood off her fangs. Kuno, you just pouted at what she saw. Mocha always did that with their father. It's not that she was jealous. She just wanted to do the same thing as Mocha always seemed to like it. It totally wasn't because he was jealous. Now, Naruto said, snapping both of them out of their own worlds. Let's get started with that. He took off lightly, jogging so they could keep up. Issei picked himself up off the ground and dusted off his clothes. He then ran his hand through his hair to get it back to its natural, disheveled look. The reason? He just got left behind by his friends to get pounded by the kendo club. He was upset he didn't even get to peek at anyone. All he wanted to do was peep on some girl. Was that so bad? He stopped his movements when he felt someone was watching him. He looked up and he saw he was next to the old school building. Up in the window was Sirzechs Gremory, one of the 2, Great One. She had crimson red hair that slightly parted on her forehead, one strand sticking up in the front of her head. Her beautiful blue-green eyes, her massive bust that her uniform looked accentuate. He had a bit of a nosebleed as he stared at her chest.